As I start seeing this kind of stuff, like, you know, if he continues to push and annoy him and doesn't respond to those cues, you know, we would step in, obviously, and intervene. But right now, I don't see anything wrong.
Because that's how I feel like he always would get. Is very, like, possessive and annoying.
Sure.
Like, he doesn't know when to stop.
Yep.
And then when I would try and take him away, then he would snap at me or something.
Yeah.
It's not the right thing to do.
Yeah, well, physically taking them away, it's never typically the move. Usually what I'll do is sometimes in situations like this, I'll practice disengaging the dog. So in a minute here, what we'll do is maybe we'll give either a come command or a bed command or something like that, and see if we can get him to focus in quickly on us. But a lot of times those things, if you just let it play out, they kind of figure it out, you know?
So like this is good dog play?
Yeah, I mean, they're figuring each other out, you know? Play in general, if you look at it, all it is competition, you know? And they get satisfaction out of that competition, obviously. So, you know, Oscar's pushing Wally's buttons a little bit here, trying to get a rise out of him. Wally's kind of pushing back a little bit, you know? They're just kind of figuring out, you know, where they stand with each other.
I guess one time I had him over at that park area when we were playing with the ball.
Sure.
And there's this dog that he just does not like. He's never liked. And like his first immediate response was to like go after the dog, and he's never done that before. And this was a while back. This was before we started training.
Yep.
So I haven't taken him over there again. But like, why does he want to seem to do that with certain dogs and not like right now?
You said there was a ball involved at that?
Yeah.
Toys change everything, right? When you add in outside reinforcers, right, or outside resources, so food, toys, affection, it immediately shifts everything going on in their mind from we're competing with each other and playing this game to we're competing for a resource, you know? So it immediately changes their whole state of mind. And that's why, again, toys, games, things like that are things you typically just want to stay away from when you're socializing your dog.
Because he was always very good as a puppy and like would share toys. He would never like resource guard toys.
It always is one that, you know, as they start maturing and stuff, it starts becoming more of a problem.
Yeah, definitely when I saw it change.
Yeah. So we'll give him a minute here, and then what you're going to do is you're going to do the bed command again.
So if he's getting into, like I take the muzzle off, do you ever find like after you take the muzzle off that they even like start those aggressive like snapping behaviors, or they kind of build their relationships?
The idea is you use that muzzle long enough where you've checked the box that they've pushed each other's buttons enough without an issue that when you go to take it off, your chances of something happening are much lower, you know? And then again, keep in mind, just like with the handling stuff, let's say hypothetically he was playing with him and kind of how he kind of snapped at him because he was pushing him too much, vice versa, right? He snapped at him a little bit for pushing too much. It's not a problem. The only thing I would really step in for and correct is if he just like full on started going after the other dog, which that's not, I haven't seen anything telling me that this dog is that dog, you know? Come on, buddy. It's like, no thank you. Oh, thank you. Hello, Wally. Hi, Wally.
So now when he's like in this state of mind, like wants to be right next to me, that's when I like worry that he's like, okay, if this dog came up, like he's gonna get nasty.
Yeah, the difference though is why is the dog being so glued up next to you? In the case of in the past what you've seen, he's glued up next to you because he's just seeing you as a resource and he sees you as like the soft one and this and that. Right there he was glued up next to you because he's like, mom's in charge right now, right? So it's just it's a different state of mind, right? So again, much less likely to exhibit that behavior in that state of mind. Still possible, but you know, less concerning.
Bed.
There you go, much better that time.
Okay.
Nice.
So if you want two dogs to coexist next to you, like you're done, you're like, okay, I'm done, everyone's playing, like everyone needs to lay down and relax.
Sure.
So if, let's say we have a dog over, we're at a friend's house and they don't use the same commands or the
Yep.
same like training. So how do I like,
Sure.
you
So,
know what I mean?
yeah. So you can only be in charge of your dog.
Yeah.
Right? So you know you have the ability to get him to chill out if you need to. We've just shown that.
Yeah.
Right? Then it's up to the other person, whoever owns that other dog, to get their dog to chill out.
Yeah.
Right? So there's, yeah.
He would like stay, I would
Yep.
keep enforcing. If he got off the bed before I said okay.
You would correct him, take him back.
Okay. So what happens if that dog like constantly keeps pestering him at the bed?
Yeah, I wouldn't allow that to happen.
Okay.
You know, I'm not going to force my dog to,
Yeah.
you know, stay in a stationary spot like that if the other dog is going to keep bugging them the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, at that point, if it is time where it's like we're just going to give the dogs a little break here, either put him in a bed stay, have the other owner get their dog to chill out. If they can't get their dog to chill out, put him on a leash. If they don't want to put him on a leash or can't put him on a leash, put him in separate rooms.
Okay.
You know, however you need to force that break.
Okay. What's like so when I see videos of him playing, it's like up to 5 dogs, usually, which is like terrifying to me.
Sure.
And even the 2, because like that was what we're having so many issues with. But now when I look back, like, was it more about the toys? Because there
Yep.
was toys involved, and then he would be possessive about the dog that was playing with him. And if other dogs would try and play with that dog, he would be like, no, you're not going to play with that
Sure.
dog, I am. So, yeah.
It's all about state of mind. You know what I mean? Like we talked about, the difference between him just being next to you versus you making him be next to you, right? The difference between him coexisting in the house and maybe not rehearsing any behavioral issues versus him coexisting in the house, not rehearsing any behavioral issues because we've set boundaries for those things, you know? Everything is different once we start establishing leadership with our dog and getting them to look at us differently, right? And then us understanding how to set up the environment properly for them to be successful, right? That's the key with all of this kind of stuff is we could proactively avoid all of these problems by just understanding what situations to keep our dogs out of, you know? Understanding if we're going to socialize him, these are the best practices for socializing him where there's not going to be any major issues, things like that, you know?
So what about like socializing him in a yard that's another dog's yard? Like
Sure.
I bring him into our brother-in-law's dog's yard.
Yep.
They've never had a problem.
Yep.
But like, what if it's somebody new in Chicago and I take him to somebody else's house?
Yep.
Like, that's what I'm so nervous about.
You just got to be aware of, again, that the only thing that changes in those types of situations is 2 things. One, if you're going to somebody else's house, that dog may be a little bit more territorial over their house, but there's nothing you can do about that. You know what I mean? That's where you get into when we're socializing our dogs with other dogs, like friends' dogs, families' dogs, things like that. It's only going to be so successful as the other owner has control over their dog, or as social as the other dog is. You know what I mean? So that's where I always get into first step of having good socialization is knowing and trusting the dogs you're socializing your dog with. You know, you need to know that going to that other dog's house, that dog is not going to be ridiculously territorial in that environment, and you can only trust the owner as far as what they say, as far as that's concerned, you know? If you're doing it indoors somewhere, you obviously have to be aware of, obviously, there's more tight corners and stuff they can get themselves trapped in, right? Which isn't inherently a huge problem, but it's something to be aware of, right? If he glues himself up in the corner by that bathroom over there and there's constantly a dog coming up and pestering him, if he gets stressed out, he can't get away as easily. So I need to be more... It's exactly like the elevator situation. We have to be really aware of that scenario to make sure there's no major issues that come from it, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can go ahead and release him.